I'm changing locations and shit. Man, get into this motherfucking bag. Stand on the way, I mean. Sacrificing time for this shit. Man, I got a plan. Tried to tell niggas years ago. They ain't understand. Riding by myself and it's cool. I'm all in my head. Everything in life you can't replace. I build relationships. Pretty little smile make a nigga wanna lock it in. We met the same time I lost a friend. We should try again. You been on my mind. You should hop in. I ain't gonna hurt you, baby girl. You know we locked in. Used to be on FaceTime calls on the regular. Never made time, landed on my busy schedule. Now every time I hit the bay, you know I think of you. Working on your brand, love, you know that I.
Yeah, it's Goddess. And I'm a day one type of girl. Ain't nothing wishy-washy over here. I don't jump around, stick to one side. Yeah, the silver, the blue, we got them in their feelings. That star on the field, come pay the D a visit. They say it's hatred, is it? I call it hate and simping. Cause if we wasn't that hating, they wouldn't be in our business. Listen, West Coast say the water tastes better. The fan base go harder, and all the ladies get wetter. Yeah, that's how it is when you straight reppin' for Dallas. We get it in the trap, and landlord tell us what's happening. No explanations in no shape, form, or fashion. When Henny drop the stats, ain't nothing else to be asking. Them numbers don't lie, that's why your argument dry. And we still got them rings, you got your eyes on our prize. Whether an eagle, a giant, or a commando, you in the parking lot crying, we in the Lambo. We stay in our bag, we run it up in the draft. You still talking about the 90s, so who's stuck in the past? Get off me, and I'ma need you 6 feet back. And we ain't hearing nothing till your team beat that. And we ain't scared of running, what you thought we bleed that? It's only one team over here, that's Cowboys, believe that. Yeah, this you got is the poet. Big up West Coast Cowboy, HTM Sports, and Landlord from Alabama. Y'all check them boys out. Now don't play around with the Cowboys content. Yeah, and you know it's DC. Yeah, DC4L.
31 teams in the NFL. His system is designed to stop 25 teams.
Shit, I need a linebacker that's over 200 pounds. I need a defensive tackle that you got to pull away from the buffet. He's gone, so no.
Let's talk about that.
But yeah, that's a large part. That's a large part of your
I gotta
team.
make this point because I ain't gonna lie, I forgot about it until you mentioned it. So I gotta get this out before it flees me, and the nation needs to hear this.
And we are live. What's good with y'all, man? It's your boy, Henny DeMoore, reporting live from the liquor store, man. And to my right, we got the one and only Jay Tuck. Now, listen, Jay Tuck, listen, I don't usually call people a lie, but the devil is a lie. He run around telling folks he on the verge of retirement. No, the hell you ain't, man. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, listen, hey man, we got listen, we out here putting this dope on the streets. We pushing this Cowboys content out, man, and we need you in the game, my boy. But salute to my brother Jay Tuck in the building with us today, man.
Hey man, I appreciate that, man. Funny, I've been reading a book all day from Young Jeezy. Adversity's for sale. Definitely check that out, man. And even he had to retire from the Hopiism dope game, you know what I'm saying, and move on to greener pastures. So we'll see, man. Like I said, I'm still enjoying it. We have this season. I had a fun conversation with Boss Cowboy Monday, and honestly, bro, after talking to Boss, I thought about just walking away this year. But we're gonna rock out this year. We're gonna have some fun, and definitely have some fun tonight. We break down Matt Eberflus' scheme. But always appreciate my dog Henny, appreciate the community for all the support and kind words. I'm truly blessed and honored to be in the position that I am. But all good things come to an end. You know what I'm saying? All good things come to an end, dog. So we'll see.
Hey man. Hey, we gonna keep trying to talk cuz out this ledge, throughout the course of this process. But like my brother, alluded to, we are here to take a look at one Matt Eberflus. Cause listen, man, to be quite frank, the Dallas Cowboys defense wasn't all that great last year. So, it's really like when the Dallas Cowboys went from Nolan to Dan Quinn. Like the only place you can really go is up, right? Because listen, I'm not saying that Zimmer was at 1,000% at fault for what happened to the Dallas Cowboys defense last year. There was a plethora of injuries. If the first year calling that defense, first year utilizing that scheme, but this is a production-based business, and like the overall numbers for the Dallas Cowboys defense was not great at the end of the day. So they moved on. They brought back a familiar face in Matt Eberflus, and we're just here to talk about it. What to expect from Eberflus? Because I'm glad you used the word hopiism and hopioids and all the other stuff. Because I've heard nothing but positive things about Matt Eberflus' defense. I don't think I heard anybody say anything negative about it so far. So we're just gonna take a look at the good, the bad, and some ugly. There's some ugly shit in here. I ain't gonna hold you. Like some of the stuff ain't great. But on the way in here though, make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure y'all hit that share button. Slap the dog shit out of Eagles fan, because they deserve it, man. And we finna go ahead and get into it. So I'm just gonna play 2 little clips where he talks about what his defense is, and then we'll go from there, man. So
Perfect.
I ain't gonna talk about it. Like, I'm gonna let him tell you about it.
Of your defense.
Yeah, the identity goes way back. I mean, we're talking back to the '96 Buccaneers, and that's where it goes back. This is the origin of it. And as you remember, those guys are packed with Hall of Famers and a bunch of great players, and the system allows you really to, play free. It's a disciplined defense, and it allows a lot of eyes on the quarterback, and that's where you get all the takeaways from. And it's very detail oriented, and that's what I took from Coach Marinelli when I was here with him. Took it on to Indianapolis and then up to Chicago, but it's been really good, and the guys love playing in the system because it really maximizes their talents and helps them really produce on the football field.
And the emphasis is on stopping the run and taking the ball away?
That's it. Yep. We got 2 things that we do. We stop the run and take the ball away. We like to score on defense, but that's really what our mantra's been, and that's what it continues to be.
Which it's easy to...
And listen, what he was finna say is it's easy to say. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds good. Like, hey, man, we gonna shut all that run stuff down, and we gonna take the ball away. It sounds wonderful. And to be fair to Matt Eberflus, that's really what they've done by the numbers. At least when he was over there with the Colts, it got a little shaky by the time it came to the end with the Chicago Bears. Like, those numbers ain't too great, but they were a very good defensive unit over there. So, question. I know the answer, but I'm just gonna ask you any damn way, just for the hell of it, to move the show along. What coverage do you think he sits in most? What kind of defense does Matt Eberflus run over there?
Yeah, so when it comes to his coverage, he starts off with the 2 high shell. So a lot of people think that he plays 2 high safeties, but sometimes he'll rock his safeties, right? So, ideally, if you look at this from a statistical standpoint, he finishes in a lot of cover 3 in the zone, right? But he'll start off in a 2 high shell. So whether that's a cover buzz, rat, robber, I'm saying, all those different type of terms that they use. So, typically you'll probably see a 2 high shell. He likes to rush with 4. Right, he doesn't do a lot of blitzing, so he's not a crazy. I think the difference is, right, if you think about transitioning from Dan Quinn, from Mike Zimmer to Matt Eberflus, I feel like his defense is going to be the most simplified approach, right? And he kind of just mentioned that in that interview, just going and just attacking the quarterback, trying to stop the run. We'll talk about that here in a second. Rushing with 4. Dropping 7 in zones, and kind of keeping everything a bend but don't break type of philosophy, versus I feel like Dan Quinn had some mad scientists to his game as a defensive coordinator. And we all know what Coach Zimmer was, where Coach Zimmer in the double-A got mugged. I mean, we saw how it had Jaden Daniels in the whole frenzy, right? I don't think that's Matt Eberflus. It's going to be simplified approach. Just go out there, not a lot of thinking. Because I remember he called the analogies like hits or something like that, right? Where it's like, hustle, intensity, takeovers, and smart, something like that. I think that was the acronym that he likes to use. And I think that's what you're going to see when it comes to Matt Eberflus's defense. But he'll start off in 2 high shell, but he'll play a lot of cover 3 as well.
And you are right on the nose. So by the numbers, and this is the Bears. A lot of people don't realize this, but he actually did take over play calling duties for the defense over there. It got bad, and he tried to right the ship. So 2023, the Bears ran cover 3, as you mentioned, the most. They ran that 38% of the time. The next shell that they ran the most was just plain old cover 2. So 38 plus 22, so 60% of the time they were either in cover 3 and cover 2. That is about as vanilla as you can possibly get. They threw in a little bit of cover 1, they threw in a little bit of cover 4, but you are right. This is not going to be a very overly complex defense. They're gonna, like you said, they're gonna bring 4, and really that's one of the reasons why you have to hope that this Dallas Cowboys pass rush is incredible. Because if you're not going to bring extra pressure and you're just going to rely on 4 guys to beat 5 down in and down out, and you're hoping that your back end gives you enough time for the pressure to get there, you're going to need some dogs out there. It can't just be the Michael Parsons show when it comes to generating pressures and getting after the quarterback.
Right. Yeah, 1,000%. And we'll talk about it probably here in a second, is that also you got to earn that right to get after the passer, right? And Lou did a phenomenal show yesterday, selecting my dog Lou, right? Of staying on schedule. If you're not winning on first and second down, you're not going to get that opportunity to even rush the passer in the first place. So, when it comes to Eberflus' scheme, like I said, it's going to be very simple. Don't expect now I said this, Henny, and you can probably answer this as well. I would like to see him keep some of that double A gap mug. So if you sit and see that old Mike Zimmer playbook sitting around, just grab it and screenshot it, because there was some good things I think deceptively that Mike Zimmer brought to our defense. I wouldn't toss everything out with the bathwater. I would probably keep some of those wrinkles, but yeah, it's going to be rush 4, drop 7, rotate your safeties, right? Cover 3, cover 2, keep your eyes on the quarterback, try to make jumps on the ball, get turnovers. So it's going to feel more Dan Quinn-ish type defense than Mike Zimmer, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, listen, at their best, this is a defense that turns the ball over at a very high rate. Because matter of fact, I think I got the metrics right here. Because listen, I said there's good and bad in here. So we're gonna start with some good before we get to some of the things that I don't like about his defense. All right. So just look at the different metrics from 2018 to 2021. 10th in yards per game, 4th in RYPG, 10th in points per game. Then you look up here what Stephen Holder said. Under Matt Eberflus, the coach ranked the top 10 in takeaways, points allowed, yards allowed per game, and yards per carry. Remember, this is a defense that can't stop the run to save their lives. We get ran out the field every postseason. We're sitting back here crying. We're doing shows begging for one text. It get rough in the postseason. So if he can fix that, if he can fix that, I'm all for it. And then, of course, right here is that one real positive, is his defense knack for causing turnovers. They had 26 in 2018, 23 in 2019, 25 in 2020, and a whopping 33 in 2021. So every single year they were top 10. His last 2 years in Indianapolis, they were top 5. So this is a defense when they play well. And to be fair to him, they didn't have like a Michael Parsons on the edge. They didn't have the secondary like we have. They had a better 3-tech. Like DeForest Buckner is that guy. They probably had better linebackers when you think about the linebacking core they had. But they didn't really have no splash playmakers like that over there, and they did that with the personnel that they had. So those are the good things about it.
Yeah, and even if you go to his lineage and his tenure in Chicago, right? The Chicago Bears, they had a tough defense because even before they drafted Caleb Williams, a lot of people said the defense is all they just need a quarterback. So, the one thing I do like about Matt Eberflus' system is that it's easy to digest, so it shouldn't be a lot of confusion. One, it allows players to play to their strength, right? I think it allows our Cowboys players to play to their strength, right? Because I feel like even though we had Mike Zimmer last year, we have a lot of guys from the personnel standpoint that's Dan Quinn. It fits that. It's still that Dan Quinn mode, getting upfield, rushing in the interior, just peeling your ears back. You bring back Dante Fowler, but also from our corners, from a secondary standpoint, is playing out of phase, being able to watch the quarterback and make plays on the ball. I think the Dan Quinn personnel will mesh well with Matt Eberflus when it comes to his system, his philosophy.
Speaking of which, since we talk about him, he plays cover 3 most of the time. It was damn near 50%. Matter of fact, let me look at this one real quick. Bears in 2024.
Yeah, so I got it right here. In 2024, they played where is it? They played like what, 47% cover three?
Yeah. This says 45, so it's about the damn same. So like,
yeah.
It was a lot of cover three.
Right.
So we might as well look at cover three and what that looked like. Cause listen, some of y'all actually need this. Some of y'all are gonna fake the funk and act like y'all know what the fuck we talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, come on, Tucky. Here you talk about cover three. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
So listen, I made this as simple as possible. I put a diagram of where they drop into coverage. I put a diagram of what they run fits are, and then I even went ahead and put the assignment of each personnel grouping. Right.
All right. Work.
So let's just go through this together. All right. Corners, no run responsibility. If number one runs a route deeper than 10 yards, right, cover that receiver in man. If number one runs shorter than 10 yards or runs across, gets eyes to number two, collect, enter to the deep third. Free safety, no run responsibility. He is in the middle of the damn field. He has to cover that deep third. He's not coming down like that. Pedal and split vertical routes. Nickel outside linebackers, outside gap run contain. Hands on number two and funnel inside. Sink to depth.
So let's slow it right a little
you're
bit.
right. I think I understand.
You know what I'm saying, because we got ill saying. So when we say hands on number two, right? A lot of people don't even know what that means, Henny. So going through the diagram, where people want to learn to read this, right, is from the outside in. So don't think of it as CeeDee Lamb's our number one wide receiver and George Pickens is our number two. It's going to be to the boundary, to the inside. So on this diagram, X would be the one to the left.
H would be the two.
H would be the two, right? And on the right side, Z would be the one, Y would be the two. But typically the Y is going to be your tight end. So I want to make sure people understand that, because I know, we get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just listening, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, for those people who don't know, like, so you want to get hands on that inside number two wide receivers on the left and the right, which in this diagram will be that H and that Y.
Okay. Very well put. Now listen, I talked all that shit and I still went a little bit too fast for him. So
yeah. It's hard because I love when we do content like this. It's kind of content I love watching. But then you also got to understand we got viewers from all different education levels. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. Some people are just too busy to learn it. But it's like sometimes we got to slow it down, because we'll start talking this all to the races. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're right. So let's continue. All right. So hands on the number two. So what he means by that, so let's say that the nickel is right there and he's playing close over there by the H. He's going to redirect the H. Right, because you can contact them within 5 yards. You can give him a bump and redirect his ass up the field. That's basically all that they're talking about when they say hands on the number two. You want to try and corral him to where your help is. All right, so let's move along. All right, sink to depth of 10 to 12 yards to the top of the numbers and close the window in the curl zone before pursuing routes to the flats. So the curl zones is right there, right? You're going to push you're going to drop back and get that far, and if anything is coming down to the flats, you push down on it. You're going to try and compress that throwing lane. Because I know what a lot of people think, like, oh man, they're not in my zone. I got to know this. If they come around you, you still have to shrink the throwing window. That's how bad teams play zone. Bad teams let you just have all the space in the world. You're supposed to squeeze. You're supposed to squeeze the space in between your zone to make that throw difficult as hell.
Right.
All right. So the curl flat defender.
And that's also why spacing is important when it comes to your route running. Wink, Mike McCarthy. That's a whole,
It's a whole different story. And listen, that's sort of the reason why you had that issue in Green Bay, because there were plays to be made. They played a whole lot of zone. Really, they really played us like how Matt Eberflus is going to play a lot of teams.
Right.
They didn't blitz a lot. They rushed four and they dropped back in zone all game, and they squeezed those throwing lanes. That's why. That's why Dak Prescott had a hard time. He put up some numbers eventually, but it was rough to start that game. All right, so let's continue. So where was I at? The curl flat defender must first buzz through the curl zone and take away the throwing window on their way to the flat. Boom. It said, are they yelling to communicate? You always yell to communicate, dog.
You should be. Yeah.
So listen,
you should. Yeah, it's just like
offenses are too good not to be yelling and communicating, dog.
Yeah, you got to communicate. And think about it like basketball, right? For all my basketball players out there, like you got to constantly be talking, right? Because you want to make sure everyone is picking up in their zones, because we'll talk about it here in a second. There's different concepts that will shred this. I mean, honestly, it's already on the diagram. So for all my Madden players out there, those white dots y'all in, that's how you can pretty much bust open cover 3 if not properly. So that's why you want the will linebackers, the Mike linebackers, and that rover, which they're calling over there with that R, to carry that, because if not, you can get killed in those seams. So
facts. And that's also
and
why
Henny will know this when he plays me in college football 26. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'm also gonna say that is also why teams started integrating match coverages into some of these zones,
right?
Because it's a lot harder to throw that seam against cover 3 match. But we'll cover that as well, because they do integrate some of that in there, and we'll speak on it.
Yeah.
All right. So however, they must not be out leveraged to the flat in the process. So they just talk about what the nickel and the outside linebacker responsibilities were. Middle linebackers, inside gap run support. Of course, like if your interior linebacker, is rarely any time that you do not have run support in the interior. Carry seams vertically to 10 to 12 yards to help the safety. Wall crossers, I should say, and sink and collect routes in the middle hook zone. Also, speaking of the seam, it would be the middle linebackers when they fall into their zone. Like, let's say that they are trying to go for vertical, because the weakness, every defense, let me just put it like this, every defense has a weakness. For cover 3, it's the seams. It's the seams, and it's in between the middle safety. That's where you can really stretch them out. So what they are taught, because listen, the seam is always going to be there. If they're playing just standard drop back into zone cover 3, their job is to force them to elevate that throw, right? You're supposed to if they got to throw the seam, you got to make sure that you get enough depth that they have to elevate that throw so that the safety can get into the play. That's really what your job is, because it gets real hell if you don't get enough depth. They're gonna tear your ass up right there in that nice little hole every single time.
Right.
But if you get enough depth and you force them to elevate that throw, you might have an opportunity. But I'm just really talking about the nuance of, like, yeah, that's a weakness there, but there's also a proper way to play it to make that even a harder throw.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Because so you're looking at the Mike and the Sam, so the M and the S linebackers. And if you guys are watching and looking at those white dots, right? Let's say, for instance, Sam just stops 5 yards, right? He just stops at 5 yards. Well, that's going to leave that inside number 2, which is the Y or the H, wide open in that quick seam, right? So you want to be able to carry those guys up, because how you really stress cover 3 is you want to make that free safety have to pick a side. So let's say, for instance, for us, that's Malik Hooker. And the inside, that Y is Jake Ferguson. Well, if he shades over towards that Y, right, and you have H, which should say is Cavante Turpin, which it should be, right, coming up that stream, well, that seam, there's going to be no coverage if that Mike doesn't carry just slightly, right? So you want to be able to carry it and then pass off to that free safety. Hopefully that'll allow him to adjust. But if you don't carry, or like Kenny was saying, when it comes to that match coverage, then you can just eat in the seams all day and night when it comes to cover 3, because you can also add posts up there. You can add levels concepts. You really get crazy. You can do mesh post and all that fun stuff.
Yes, indeed. He says a very good coverage to defend a run, though. I mean, let's do the simple math. All right, so let's just say that that's 4 down linemen. I know you can't see them on the field, so let's just go ahead and count the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's going to be a Will, a Mike, a Sam, and the other safety is the rover. He's dropped into the box. It's an 8-man box, so it better be good against the run.
Right. It should be, you know. But see, here's the one thing I will tell Cowboys fans to be cautious of, because we're looking at the numbers. And remember, when we were getting Dan Quinn coming over from Seattle, I'm just crazy, did shows about cover 3, and he's going to bring the cover 3. And then Dan Quinn got out of it, and he didn't really use a lot of cover 3 as much as he used in Seattle. So, you know, I do think that Eberflus will probably stick with it. But like I said, what it'll probably look like from Eberflus' standpoint is that you'll probably either have the rover, which will be the safety, right? It'll start off in too high, so you'll have middle field open, and then they'll rotate based off of coverage to be middle field closed when it comes to that free safety. So they might rock and roll with those safeties, but that's probably what it's going to look like.
All right, and we'll touch on this run fits real quick. All right, so it's really straightforward. So the linebacker on this end is the force guy. And really, what they mean by force, they're trying to force that inside. They do not want you to get to the edge. So he's going to force you back in. The guy out here listed cut back is exactly that. If it's some kind of inside zone where you can cut it back, he's going to be the guy to take out the cutback lane. That's really what you need to know. We always already stated, you know, that the free safety is not involved. So really, the free safety and the corners are not really involved in the run fits. It's going to be the linebackers and the defensive line that's going to handle this. The box safety is in on it, of course, because he's inside of the box. But this is going to be an eight man look to try and stop the run. And that really go back to Lou's point of why this is a good defense to stop the run. Because you have so many people allocated to it, you should have the number advantage.
Right, absolutely. And that's what it all comes down to, is a numbers game and who has the leverage. And if you look at it right from this standpoint, because of course we don't have the film, but it looks like a too high safety look as of right now as you're looking at it pre-snap. But once the ball is handed off, or I can't tell who this is, the Dolphins, whoever's quarterback is drops back in coverage, 31 will probably take the middle of the field, and then you'll have 29 come down to be in that rover position that's shown on the upper diagram.
Correct. All right, so let's move along, because we do have to touch on a couple more things. So let me see. Oh yeah, he had another thing he wanted to add about his defense too, because you know they asked him about his you know he's known as a linebacker savant, and they asked him about that. So let's talk about it.
Peyton, Matt Eberflus, why have you had such success developing linebackers throughout your career?
Yeah, I played the position, and I think that when a guy plays football, you know, at this level, they have a certain camera, you know, in terms of how they see the game. And, you know, some guys are fast processors, and some guys, you know, are a little bit, you know, not as fast. Like Sean Lee was as fast as I've ever seen. He could process, you know, like Luke Kuechly, and just boom, and hit it. But that was through a lot of film study with him and I, you know, right up here doing Breakfast Club together. So, you know, to me, I played a position, so I do have an advantage of how I see the game as a coach, so I can really help those guys to be able to see it. But I think more importantly, it's the skill development. And I told the defense this before they left, and I told them in the beginning, I said, we'll be two things that'll be our separator is going to be our conditioning level and our technique. And the coaches that we brought in, and I'm a stickler on technique and the details of it, but doing it game speed and doing it fast. And that's what I've always done, and that's what I did with Sean and DeMarcus, and that's what we're going to continue to do with this group.
What's up with these new coaches and their microphones?
Anyway, they ain't talking about that at the end. But that was Eberflus on Sean Lee and why he felt that he had, you know, a good feel for developing linebackers. So I don't have anything really prepared in slide wise for this, but I just want to ask you a general question. Of the linebackers we have, which one do you think stands to gain the most for playing under Matt Eberflus?
Maris Leofau. Yeah, I think Maris has the most to gain because he's going to be the IQ guy. Coming out of Notre Dame, I love Maris just from simply off his IQ. We kind of saw him pick up on Zam's defense, where I felt was more complex, and I feel like he's going to be able to adapt now. Also, he has the motor. He probably needs to get a little bit stronger for the NFL level, personally, as a tackler. But the thing that I do like about Maris is he doesn't hesitate. So all the things that Eberflus just talked about in that interview a second ago, that just seems like it's going to be Maris Leofau for me. I feel like Maris being under Eric Kendricks last year was a huge boost in advance to have that veteran guy. And then now you have the room, you have Kenneth Murray, you have Sanborn who's kind of coming over from Chicago. The Overshown, I'm going to kind of keep him to the side because I don't want to rush him back. Damone Clark, Shamar James. Like, I feel like this is Maris's opportunity, because when you look at it, if you go back to the original diagram that Henny just had up, more than likely he's going to have two linebackers on the field. It's going to be a lot of nickel coverage. So he's going to have a Mike and he's going to have probably a Will or a Sam, depending on what the formation is. So you're probably only going to have two core linebackers out there on the field. And for me personally, I think it might be Maris and Kenneth as of right now. I know some people don't want to hear that, but I think it's going to be Maris and Kenneth as your two starting linebackers. And then when it comes to the safety, that's a whole nother conversation. That's when you'll rotate, whether it's your Wanye, your Donovans, your Marquise Bales, or whoever. But it'll probably be like a 4-2-5 at the NFL level, because as much as we want to say we need to stop the run, it also has that passing dynamic. So you want that hybrid player who can definitely help in run support, but can also help in coverage as well versus versatile tight ends.
So, hell, let me ask you a question. How would you feel if the box safety ended up being our boy Marquise Bell, and it looked like a rerun of 2023?
Me personally, I don't mind it. Right?
I don't think I mind it either. I think he played real good football.
Yeah, I feel like his Marquise Bell, people forget, like, you know, he wasn't used as a box safety under Danko. He was used as a, like, I think it was Lou yesterday posted that was Lou yesterday. He was watching the Green Bay film. They had Marquise Bell at middle linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a completely different aspect.
And that's super small. That makes you a dime defense at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people don't understand. We were pretty much running a dime defense out there when it came to Marquise Bell at linebacker. So, you know, I think that Marquise Bell will be fine, because it's different. It's a different taking on other tight ends or blocking tight ends or blocking running backs when you're kind of out there on the perimeter, maybe, you know, some pulling guards or tackles on occasion, versus being in the trenches, you know, at the second level, trying to scrape through guards, centers, and, you know, like you would like if I told y'all who's going to win a one-on-one matchup between Tyler Booker and Marquise Bell, y'all like Tucker Dell, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but if you go against Schoonmaker, you might have a much better advantage. You see what I'm saying? Or Ferguson, you might have a much better advantage. So I think Marquise Bell will do well at the nickel position, the big nickel position. And I talked about this, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I did switch to my dog, Big Game James. I feel like when it comes to our safety unit, we do have some progress stoppers in Malik Hooker and Donovan Wilson. I would really like to see our young guys get the opportunity, whether that's Wanye, Marquise Bell, or also the guy we got out of Syracuse, who I'm extremely high on, and Elijah Clark. So it's time to let the young guys get their opportunity, because I'm trying to remember, was Malik Hooker with Eberflus in Indy? Oh, shit. So, I mean,
he was a former first-round pick. They drafted him high. He came out the same year that Ezekiel Elliott did. He was on their Ohio State
same team. Okay, so he was with Matty E. Yeah, so he's probably going to be safe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's safe for this year. But then Donovan
is the one that I'm looking at, like, he could probably lose his job this year.
Right. Yeah, especially as a post-June, because he could save money. So, yeah, so you'll probably have Hooker as your free, even though I personally would like to get a little bit more athletic, a little bit more rangy at the free. But, yeah, I think that Marquise Bell and Wanye definitely earn the opportunity to be around the box. You know, and people don't understand, Wanye is bigger than Marquise Bell. Like, he's like 217. You know, like when I say that, but he's, you know what I'm saying? He's built bigger, compact, you know.
He's a great athlete, too.
Right. Kick returner. Yeah, that's, you know, but it depends on if the Cowboys are going to be foolish and put him in the slot, which I personally wouldn't do, you know. But we'll see. But yeah, I think Marquise Bell definitely deserves the opportunity to play a true safety position, not because I think the linebacker playing middle linebacker helped build his instincts to get him prepared to be a much better box safety than he was coming out of FAMU.
All right. So let's talk about some of the negatives that I do not personally like about Matt Eberflus' defense. They do not get pressure on the quarterback. It just is what it is. We can just go year to year to year. I went and looked at it. Like, if you want to go and check my work, go to NFL Pro. You can check it out, or go to whatever. They got these stats everywhere. So 2018, that defensive line produced, that defense produced a pressure rate of just 34.2%, was 25th in the National Football League. 2019, it fell down to 31.9, and it was still good for 25th in the league. 2020 got slightly better, 32.7%, 22nd in the National Football League. And then his final year, they hit the 25th spot again with a 31.5% pressure rate. And remember, they don't blitz. This is just what his four-man rush could generate. And his four-man rush was DeForest Buckner and a couple other guys. Like, that's the marquee name, along that defensive line that he had.
Right.
So
yeah, and I'm even looking at it from last year's perspective, and of course, he only played half the season, but even with that, he four-man rushed 72% of the time, five-man pressure 21%. So, he's going to try to get pressure with four, which I think that he'll probably will to naturally just off the talent alone, especially with these edge rushers that we have. That's probably why you should be excited about our defensive ends. But yeah, historically, it's not going to be crazy because Zim, he would send the corner blitzes, he would get exotic with it. It's going to be very bare bones. But here's the fun part about it. It's the same defense that was kicking our ass. You know what I'm saying? So right. I don't want fans to think that it's not a successful way to go about the approach, right? Because Cowboys struggled with four-man drop seven all year last year. So if you have the guys, you have the horses in the stable, if you will, I feel like you can definitely go out there and get pressure with four, and just naturally having Michael Parsons, Dante Fowler, Donovan, Sam, even Osa in the interior. This should drastically increase over his previous stints in Indy and also in Chicago.
Yeah, and to be fair, like to your point, we were talking about Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn played damn near nothing but cover three when he was calling the Legion of Doom.
Right.
And they won a championship playing defense that way. The same way when you talk about, hey, this defense goes back to Tampa back in the 90s. Like the Buccaneers, when they won their championship, they played damn near nothing but Tampa 2 for a majority of the time. So I'm of the belief, man, like it's not always about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmy and the Joes.
Right.
Like I said about Tampa. If you got Warren Sapp in the middle of your defense, you can stay in cover 2 and still stop the run and do whatever the hell you want to do.
Right.
When you have when you're the Legion of Doom and you got the personnel that they had Earl Thomas and they had what's my guy that played the box, man? I used to love that.
Cam Chancellor, man, the Hitler.
Right. Man, when you got personnel like that, Bennett, what's my loudmouth ass friend name? Corner.
Yeah, Sherm, and then
Sherm.
Yeah.
Then they even had Browner for a little bit, big ass 6'4" cornerback playing cover 3, drop it back.
Right.
So when you got good personnel, you can damn near play anything and get away with it.
Right.
And if you look at the Dallas Cowboys on paper, outside of the one tech, you have some pretty good talent over there. You got Michael Parsons, you got Osa Odigizua. When you get healthy, you have Trayvon Diggs in the run blend in the back. When Overshawn will be coming back. You got Leofow, who played good football. Kenneth Murray, a former first-round pick. Like, you got talent on that defense. It might be more talented than some of the defenses he played with. I just actually got to see it work, though, bro.
Got to see it work, and it has to be a mentality thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a mentality thing. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm a Jimmy and Joe's guy too as well. You definitely need talent, but you also need heart. Like, you can scheme up stopping the run, But there's something about you as a man and say, I want to tackle Derrick Henry because I can have the perfect defensive team. You know what I'm saying? Like, but are you going to want to? You know what I'm saying? If you go back to that slide that Henry had when showing the gap, the run lanes and the run fits, right? That's corners on the outside perimeter. That's safeties on the outside perimeter. So are you going to man up and do what it takes to stop the run too? I know a lot of people want to put it on the defensive tackles and also the edge rushers, but you can scheme against that. You know, I feel like that's what the Cowboys did. I mean, you go back to that Ravens game, they say, I want to make these little ass corners who want to fly around getting interceptions. I want to see if they want to tackle today. And they said, no, thanks. You know what I'm saying? They said, no, not today. You know, so, you know, it has to be everybody moving on the same accord. And when you talk about the Legion of Boom, Henny, it was just a mindset like that. They had their own identity, their own swagger, their own confidence. And typically when you talk about Super Bowl winning defenses, you can look at them and feel like they're their own entity, right? Even if you hate Philly, that defense was just completely different. You know what I'm saying? They had their own mentality, their own celebrations, their own walk, their own confidence. You're going to need that throughout the course of the season, especially on our defensive side of the ball when it comes to Matt Eberflus's defense.
I agree. And you know, this is not any new information because you know this goes back to like the blitz percentage. It's
right.
It's low, right? This across the board. 30th, 27th, 31st, 29th. If you're only rushing 4, you ain't really blitzing a lot at all. We already established that. There's nothing crazy or new. But one thing that stood out to me that I do want to touch on is Eberflus being on record saying that the engine that makes everything go in his defense is the 3-tech. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? And schematically, what is he talking about?
Yeah. You had Osa kind of come out and speak about it, you know, talking about, if I was doing some of these things last year, I would have had a crazy season, right? So I feel like Osa is going to be extremely important. Also, these 3-techs, because I was talking about this yesterday as well, is you look at our defensive tackle room, it's a lot of guys who are kind of hybrids, right? Like they're like defensive tackles, but they have defensive end bodies, whether that's, you know, Solomon Thomas, like he's not a big, stouty defensive tackle. He's more of a lean, slender power rusher that can get upfield. I even talked about possibly moving Sam Williams inside, Marshawn Nealon, Osa Digizua. So it's guys that can be able to peel their ears back and get upfield. Now, here's the caveat with that. We've done that, Cowboys Nation. When we had these defensive interior guys that can get upfield, what does it lead? These massive ass run lanes, and that's how we was getting gashed. So you got to be able to not only rush upfield, but also rush upfield with integrity. Because if you're just shooting upfield, you're leaving cutback lanes, you're leaving all sorts of stuff, and putting more stress on your linebackers. And I don't feel like this linebacker core minus Overshown is that great where you can really put them in this bond. So you're going to be smart. But yeah, I think the engine for his defense is the interior 3-tech, but ultimately I think the rotation that he has is more important than anything, which can be argued. I think 3-tech, we got a decent rotation. It's not super sexy.
Compared to 1-tech, it's great.
Yeah.
It makes you know, compared to 1-tech, like 3-tech looks all world.
Right. Yeah, everything makes, you know what I'm saying, one thing, everything may look all world, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I think, like, I'm trying to remember, was Zim a 2-gap or was it a 1-gap scheme?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We didn't switch every damn year. I think he was a 2-gapper. Lou might know.
Let me see. 1-gap.
I know Dan Quinn was 1-gap. Mm-hmm. Was Zim 1-gap? 2-gap. I don't remember. What I mean by that, right? You might be responsible for 2 gaps versus he was a 1. Zim was a 1.
Nah. I'm just
okay. What I mean by that, you might be responsible for left A gap or right A gap. You know what I'm saying? So you're trying to engage and control 2 versus a 1-gap scheme is like lower, just hit this left A gap, and then we're gonna have this linebacker hit the right A gap. I'm trying to remember which one was Zim and which one was DQ. But I think it was, I want to say Zim was a 2-gapper.
It would seem like it, because I think I seen Mozzie taking on, you know, like I think I seen Mozzie 2-gapping last year.
Right. Yeah. I think DQ was 1, Zim was 2, and I think Eberflus is going to be 1 gap. So
if he's Rod Marinelli, like Rod Marinelli was 1 gap.
right.
So, and he was
Yeah.
Rod
So
Marinelli
Eberflus is probably 1 gap. And I'm trying to remember between Dan and Zim, but they gone. So
yeah. Hey, well, listen, this is off subject, but I do want to touch on this quickly. Why is everybody, planting all the dope and the guns on the coaches that leave, dog? Like, we've been sorry for 20 years. Like, I ain't saying like the worst in the league, but we ain't won shit in over 20 years. But every time we swap somebody out, it's supposed to just fix everything that's been wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. I just want to touch on that with you real quick.
yeah, man, it's just, I mean, I get it. It's natural for people to cope, right? You know what I'm saying? If your girlfriend or boyfriend leave you, then technically they wasn't shit. You know what I'm saying? It was all their fault. Knowing you was the one that was really messing up, but what you gonna put on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? It's just how Cowboys fans, not only Cowboys fans, this is how fans cope, where whoever left, it was their fault, right? And now that they're gone, all of our problems have left with them, right? Because we kind of say, bro, like, I don't know where this random ass hate for D-Law just came from. But if you made like, I'm glad he's gone. Like, bro, y'all was not talking about D-Law like that last year until he left. You know what I'm saying? Like, so cut the fake shit out, right?
Missed him at some point, especially.
Yeah, y'all missed him. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, I remember we did a whole video about D-Law was the only one, you know what I'm saying? Something like, But think about this time last year, Henny. Dan Quinn was the worst human on earth. He was too close to the players. He was more of a friend versus a coach. And so he sacrificed the Green Bay game because he had one. Like, so we thought that all of our problems was gone, right? He can't stop the run. He like little ass linebackers. He like playing safety at linebackers, right? Soon as Dan Quinn got to Washington, what the hell did he do? Go get Bobby Wagner, the same person he was trying to get while he was in Dallas. Stephen Jones just wouldn't sign the check, right? So then, okay, well, Dan Quinn's gone. We got Coach Zim. And this time last year, everyone was posting that fiery Zim. He's going to get everyone's ass in gear, and we're going to stop the run. And the Baltimore Ravens came in Dallas and said, man, I don't give a damn about none of that shit, and ran all over us. The same problems exist. So now what it is,
the Saints embarrassed.
The Saints ran all over. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and the Browns really just couldn't because we got the jump on them. So I'm saying is like, but we convinced ourselves everything was healed because they just left. So of course, right now we'll do the same thing. Everything was Mike McCarthy's fault in the hitch routes and this and that and this and that. And he's going, and this coaching staff who's never coached a day in a freaking lives before is much better than a Super Bowl winning head coach, and all of our problems are solved. I get it, you know what I'm saying, but it's not the reality that we live in, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool now, Henny, right? It sounds good now, Henny, right? The culture's changing just by a coach having a drink at a golf course, but eventually we'll get back to reality and have to start working on things to how to really fix this organization. But I like the coaching staff, but I'm not going to act like all of our problems are fixed now. And I never sat back, watched the Cowboys game and felt like, man, Dan Quinn was the problem. Right? I ain't never watched a Cowboys fan and really feel like Mike McCarthy was the problem. I felt like personnel was the problem. Just like right now, I still feel like personnel is the problem. So, I mean, it's like I could blame Mike McCarthy for having a horrible run game, but we've been trying to help, bro, all last year leading up to the draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, we knew our run game wasn't going to be worth a damn because we didn't have the personnel. You know, so I feel like this year it's hard to convince me, no matter how many buzzwords Eberflus uses, that we're going to be able to stop the run, because we'll talk about the run game here in a second, because I feel like this Eberflus stops the run shit, that's also a lie. You know what I'm saying? Because we got a coach on our offensive staff right now that ran all over Eberflus' defense and Clayton Adams. You know what I'm saying? They cooked that boy. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this Eberflus is going to stop the run. I'm looking like, bitch, where? You ain't got no one to. You know what I'm saying? Like, with who? So it's going to be a personnel thing for me personally. Until the Dallas Cowboys fix that, it's hard to get on board.
I was just going to say, did Forrest Buckner come with him?
Right.
You know, did any one of them linebackers come with him? Franklin or any of them? So yeah, like
Leonard. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Leonard,
got to help me out, right?
Like he had good players, you know,
Right.
and that's not a knock on him. But I'm just
He
saying,
he had Sean Lee when he was in Dallas.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like that makes a big difference. Sean Lee, DeMarcus Ware, like that makes a
great
difference.
personnel, yeah,
Right. Great personnel.
And that's the issue. Like,
and honestly, I did a video 2 weeks ago, something like that. He even said that himself. He was like, it's talent. Like it's talent. But yeah, bro, like the better talent you have, you can have great talent in a horrible scheme and still survive. It's rarely you have very lackluster talent in a great scheme and still survive at the NFL level.
Because listen, the Saints had a good scheme and they managed to win those first 2 games. Then they like, well, back to reality.
Well, you remember how hot Dennis Allen was? Everybody, Dennis Allen is offense. Dennis Allen is Dennis Allen. Man, I would love for Mike McCarthy to have an offense like Dennis Allen. You know?
And then that shit fell off like a bad of dope.
I don't even know if the man's in the league right now.
I think Dennis Allen is a defensive coordinator somewhere now. I don't know.
Let's see.
I can't remember. I know his ass ain't no head coach no more.
Right. Now, hell no.
That shit over with.
Yeah. Right.
But this is really, because listen, this is what we're talking about. At the end of the day, no matter who, because listen, this is 3 different defensive coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
This is 3 different defensive coordinators. This is Nolan, this is Dan Quinn, and this is Mike Zimmer. Mm-hmm. You still cannot stop the run. You were 31st in 2020. You were just 16 in 2021. You were 22nd in 2022. You were 16 in 2023, and you were 30th last year. You ain't had a top 15 run defense in half a decade.
Right.
You know, so like regardless of what you say, we done switched all kind of coordinators. They got different philosophies. They got different tendencies. You still get ran out the fucking field at the drop of a hat. Go to the postseason when you're losing these games. This defense is giving up 30 points per game and 157 rushing yards on average. Like, this is not, regardless of what anybody says, like, I'm glad that they can rush the passer. I'm glad that they can get turnovers. Like, at the end of the day, if you cannot stop the run on a consistent basis and force teams to be a little bit one-dimensional and have to play you straight up, you're not going to win a lot of football games, bro.
Right. And you didn't even read the last important sentence, right? We all hear the terms defense wins championships. The Cowboys defense has a grand total of 2 first-round picks. Defense on the defense side of the ball.
Yep. 2 first-round
that we drafted. Of course, then we got some formers, right? But that we drafted.
Unfortunately. And you got to think about some of these.
Mozzie and Micah. That's it, y'all.
Yeah, because Trayvon Diggs was a 2nd-round pick. You got lucky and found Deron Bland, who was a 5th-rounder.
Right. Osa was what? 4th, 3rd?
3rd or 4th out of UCLA. Let's see. Leofau was a 3rd-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Overshawn was a
3rd-round pick.
Nealon was a 2nd-round pick. Sam was a 2nd-round pick. Like, yeah, you don't really have a lot of shit invested on the offensive side on the defensive side of the ball like that.
Right.
You know, offense, you got 3 first-round picks on your offensive line alone.
Right. Right. And so here's the difference when you flip the coin, right? Think about how Philly built their trenches, but they put their premium value in their defensive trenches versus we put it all in our offensive trenches. See what I'm saying? Like, it's a different type of philosophy where it's like, all right, bro, like when you go and get those first-round talents, those real first-round talent defensive tackles, that's when you might have an instant impact, right? Even though I'm not a huge fan of Mason Graham, right? But there's those types of guys where you can have that mega impact versus 2nd-round guys, or even from the Cowboys standpoint, 7th-round guys who we want to stop the run. This is why we constantly run into those problems. So if you're not going to spend premium draft picks on defensive trenches, then go spend a little money. You know what I'm saying? Just go spend a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta be one or the other. You can't, not invest in that position in the draft and then still not spend money there.
Right.
Like you got to choose a struggle. Either you're gonna
Right.
spend some money for it, or you just gonna spend some assets for it. You
Right.
just can't ignore it. Like we are looking at 3 takes from the UFL,
Right.
and they're probably signed one.
It's to the point where I honestly give up on the one tech thing. I ain't gonna say nothing much more about it, bro, because it's just like, would they spend a premium value to move up and trade to go get a guy, or were they going to trade to go get a guy? That's just not their mentality, right? Like, think about the Eagles. They went and traded up and got Jordan Davis. Then they traded up and got Jalen. Like, they're spending premium. And then they got Nolan Smith. Like, they are spending premium. Then they got, Jahad Campbell. Like, so they're putting their emphasis on the defense versus the Cowboys.
First-round pick.
Yeah. So for us, it's like, we say defense wins championships, but offense sells tickets. We sell a lot of tickets. But going back to what Henny was talking about with stopping the run, that horrible run defense, it's been 3 defensive coordinators, y'all, and it's been the same results, Rob, because I just don't think that we have the personnel. I'm still kind of that same sentiment. You see what I'm saying?
And it should be, because I'm not sure if it's the exact definition, but I always heard that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a good result. You're running the same people out there.
Right. With different coaches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, last time I checked, I love Michael Parsons. It's not his fault that we can't stop the run. At the same time, he is a 240-pound defensive end. Like, it should not be his forte to stop the run any goddamn way.
Right. But think about Micah Parsons, right? Why was he so disruptive? Because you spent premium value on that kind of player. You're not getting that kind of player in the 6th or 7th round. You know what I'm saying? So why not spend that type of value on another defensive position? But we waited. And me personally, I get it, Mozzie. I feel like Mozzie was a reach because it's like, one, his film wasn't the greatest out of Michigan. Like, I'm saying, let's just keep it a buck. It wasn't there. I never saw it, but it was just like, we need to stop the run. Mike McCarthy wasn't even it for the pick. Dan Quinn, your defensive coordinator, wasn't even for the pick. So it was just like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Yeah, what are we doing? So those are picks, and those are things that, listen, I like the man. Cool dude. Met him a few times. Will McClay got to wear some of that shit on his jacket, y'all. He does.
Remember, every bad pick is Jerry Jones meddling.
Every Jerry.
Every good pick, Will McClay was in his bag.
Right. DeRon Bland, Will McClay, Mozzie Smith, Jerry. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I got one. Taco Charlton. Taco Charlton was a Jerry Jones pick.
Jerry Jones. Yeah, Jerry Jones. Kelvin Joseph, Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, well,
it is what it is, man. Let them tell it. Well, yeah, we got to have accountability, and I hope that trickles up and trickles down with the way it need to go, because I want to win, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be right about shit. I hope that I'm wrong and that we just go out here and we dominate. But if we don't fix this run defense, we ain't finna do shit. We'll win about 10, 11 games. We're gonna be a first round exit, if that, depending on how the defense plays throughout the regular season.
And see, Henny, it's very important that you say that, bro, because I feel like this is the civil war that we're seeing amongst Cowboys Nation, right? There's few of us who care about winning on the field. Like, you guys know, I'm a season ticket holder. I'll be taking my ass to every game, sitting out there. Like, that shit sucks, sitting out there getting ran all over by the Ravens and getting moonwalked on by Derek Carr and getting punched on by the Houston Texans. So when people say, oh, Tuck just needs to be quiet and be satisfied, no, I'm not, because that shit hurts, y'all. It's embarrassing walking out that stadium after we got beat by Green Bay and seeing a bunch of people with cheese on their heads talk shit, and you really can't even say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Or being out there at Levi Stadium and having to walk 2 miles to get an Uber, hearing bang, bang Niners game. I think some of us are over losing on the field, right? But what I realized the other day, I don't know, maybe it's just been in front of my face this entire time as a content creator, but there are some people that don't care about winning on the field. as long as they went on social media. You know what I'm saying? And I saw that where it's like, I get it. We don't like the Eagles, y'all. Okay. But they won the Super Bowl. Why are we in a pissing match with them right now? We got problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see, but if we split with Philly, right, and split with Washington, let's say we an 8-win team, there will be people that's satisfied enough to say, well, we beat Philly. You know what I'm saying? We beat Philly. Like, that beat Philly shit don't mean nothing to me. Right? I want to win it all, bro. I want to win it all. I know a lot of people watching this channel right now and my channel right now. We want to win a 6 ring. So to sit back and act like we're fine, Henny, just let it happen. And if we don't have a 1 tech, we'll just go get one later. This schedule does not allow us for a later. You know what I'm saying? There's no later. You know what I'm saying? You play the Super Bowl champs opening night. So here's the thing, right? When you think about Eberflus's scheme that we just spoke about, right? Rushing 4, dropping 7. You think you're going to be able to get pressure with 4 versus Philly offensive line?
Man, hell no. You're gonna have to pray that Jalen Hurts, didn't wear his contacts that game. He just throw you the ball or something. You ain't finna get to him, especially with him being that mobile.
You think you're gonna be able to contain Jalen Hurts in the pocket with only 4?
Pray about it.
You know what I'm saying? Everyone knows Jalen Hurts' biggest fault is against the blitz. That's the opposite, right? You got to blitz Hurt. You got to get pressure. You got to get him rattled. You got to roll him out the pocket. You got to make him improv. Like, that's how you stop Philly. But none of the tendencies that Eberflus does goes in against that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, bro, if we're not going to go get the personnel, you got to give us something, right? But I feel like this whole narrative, Henny, that, oh, you know what I'm saying? Henny's just being negative, or Tug's just being negative. We got to believe and all. No. I ain't got to do shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to do a damn thing, to be honest with you, right? I want to win, right? And even though it's just state over, show me state. I got to see it, right? Because all these buzzwords sound cute. You don't think that Mike McCarthy said all these buzzwords when he first came to Dallas? Mike Zimmer said all these buzzwords. Like, Brian Schottenheimer said all these buzzwords when he got hired as an offensive coordinator. I'm done with the buzzwords. Show me on the field, right? Show me on the field. Is this team going to have a different temperament, a different attitude, and really go out to stop the run? Don't tell me we're going to stop the run just because we can't stop the run, bro. Like, no. What are you doing to change what's happening from the last 3 defensive coordinators? Like I said on Friday, see what happened to the last 3 security guards? You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, the same thing Eberflus, like, you see what happened in the last 3, bro? Like, what makes you any different? You got the magic sauce that Dan Quinn didn't know. You got something magical that Zim ain't know. You know what I'm saying? You probably got something more magical than Mike Nolan. Mike Nolan didn't know shit. But you're saying, it's like, come
Mike
on,
Nolan
dog. Mike Nolan's just the homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Mike Nolan was just that homeboy Mike McCarthy put on the mixtape. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's let him get it first. But overall,
that man just gave up 58 points in the UFL championship game.
Did he?
Yes, he the coach. He was the coach over there. Gave us 58 points in the UFL championship game. We thought he was gonna come over here and coordinate in the NFL.
Mike McCarthy should have got his ass kicked for that one, bro.
Yeah, like if I can't blame Mike McCarthy for anything else, hiring your homeboy, this man ain't qualified. That's the
but see, remember what it was though. Like I said, I came in that same year. Oh, but Mike Nolan, his defense is gonna be multiple, and it's gonna be some traces of the 3-4, and they're gonna play a little 4-3 as well. And how he's gonna use Jalen Smith and these linebackers.
Sounded good.
It all sounded good until them boys got on the field and it's like, what are we doing? They were so confused. Like when you play college football 26, you see them little question marks above their heads. Whole defense had question marks above their damn heads. And Mike Nolan had a hot sauce in his eye.
Theory is always different than application. Folks don't realize that shit. It sounds good when you put it on the whiteboard. It looks good, it's pretty, it's sexy. They actually got to go out here and execute this shit.
Right.
You tried to change defenses during COVID over fucking Zoom calls.
Right.
Like, you should have been a little bit more self-aware about what you were working with and what you could learn.
Right. Facts.
Facts. So. But yeah, man, like, I appreciate you, dog. Like, we had a lot to cover, and we got through it, man. You got anything else you want to add for these folks before we get on out of here?
No, man. Cowboys Nation, I appreciate y'all. I know we kind of going through the off-season dark days, but there's still work to be done. So definitely follow my guy Henny if you see him for the first time. Landlord, Lou, JC, list goes on angry. Don't be pissed if I leave you out. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of quality content going on right now. A lot of good discussions to be had, especially when it comes to our new coaching staff. But what I'm trying to encourage Cowboys fans to do is just be patient, right? We're trying to hurry up and get there. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to force that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like Jadon Blue's going to be our running back. Can we get to the preseason? Can we get through camp? Can we get some highlights first? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not rush it. I know that last season was bad, right? It was boring, right? So we're just trying to rush to get back, but let's not force it. Let's start making these players actually earn it before we start crowning. My model's been week 6, right? I'm not hold me accountable, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's gonna be some catches that count. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, Kalen Carson got a pick 6. Week 6, right? Week 6. And then we'll see, and then we'll kind of see what the temperament for this team is really about. But I get the energy with Brian Schottenheimer. I like Shotty. I feel like Shotty's a cool dude. Got a tattoo, you know what I'm saying? All sorts of stuff. Like, he's a hell of a cool dude, right? But it doesn't mean anything unless it translates on the field. And that's the most important thing. And that's all I really care about. So appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight.
Yes, indeed. And hey, man, to my brother point, do you remember when it was this breakout wide receiver during training camp a couple years back, man, and Dak was targeting him heavy, and he liked him because he said, man, he just knew where to be, man. He always knew exactly where to be. The ball finds him. He was making plays.
Dennis Houston.
Got
that man a starting job.
Lord, for one game. That shit was over.
Bro. He got Dennis Houston a starting job for one game, bro.
Man, that shit was crazy. But that's to my brother point, man. Like, you're going to see a lot of stuff during training camp. There's going to be guys, they go out here and they ball out without no bright lights on. They in shorts. They not even wearing no damn cup. It's not even physical. They ain't
even had the concussion helmets on yet. You know what I'm saying? People's already hyped.
Oh man, Miles Sanders, man, like, he turned the clock back.
Right.
Oh man, I know he was sorry the last 4-5 years, but woo, boy.
The way he broke through on this play, you know what I'm saying? He finished it all the way into the end zone after he got touched 4 times in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? The force is back. Like, bro, like, let's just wait. And I get it, right? It's just, people got jobs to do. They got to over sensationalize thing. Content creators right now is the wild, wild west, and everything is, oh my God, can't believe, CeeDee Lamb just did hey, bro, it's just a simple X release. Like, it's nothing too crazy. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing brand new, right? So just be smart, Cowboys Nation. We will get there. Trust me. If there's some breakout players that we feel like can really help this team win a championship, Henny, Walls, Lou, all of us will be talking about it heavily. But let's get to that point where we get some actual feeling, because what you're doing is playing a game of telephone. You letting he say, she say, he say, she say get into your ears, and you just going off with somebody that you don't even know, just some reporter who might not even know what a damn slug go around it really is, right? So it's like, just be careful with it. And my motto is, if I don't see it with my own eyes, I don't trust it.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I'm gonna say this too. I know we do a lot of like teach tape and stuff when we talk about concepts. I want y'all to educate yourselves too sometimes, man.
Right.
And there's some stuff that you're not familiar with. Just don't fake the phone. Just Google the shit. Go pull up some YouTube videos. Talk to a local coach or something. Like, you figure it out, man. Educate yourself on football, man, so you have a better understanding of what's going on. So you don't be one of these casual fans out here that blame the quarterback for everything that happens. You won't be one of these guys that think that wins is a quarterback stat. You don't be one of these guys that thinks that Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Warren Moon because he won a ring. Don't be stupid.
Right.
Learn football. Learn the basics. Learn a couple coverages. Learn some concepts. Because listen, if you don't know what a slant and goal is, you should slap the shit out yourself. That's all.
You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed. I mean, there's reporters that they know it's slugger route. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna call nobody out, but it's like, they know it's slugger route. And so it's just like, it's not about, here's what I say: if you're going to spend the time watching me and Henny for an hour and go turn around and watch Boston for an hour, at least understand what we're talking about, right? You know what I'm saying? Just don't be a part and ride in the back seat, right? Learn and educate yourself. Like even me as a content creator, I stay in the lab learning different concepts, learning different languages, especially from the college game, because that shit's like a science project. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just learning about that UNLV go-go offense. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading up on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, that's what they call it. Where did it come from? Where, you know what I'm saying? So it's like the off season, instead of digesting a bunch of lazy content, just clickbaiting content, why not use this time to really focus on growing your football knowledge? And I promise you guys, when you start doing that, the game becomes a whole lot more fun.
Oh,
Sorry
also,
for that bad English.
Yeah. And listen, y'all can also ask questions. Like we're not gonna crucify you. You don't know something.
Right.
We're always learning. So
Right.
if you have a question about a coverage or a concept, or we say something that you ain't pick up, we put down, just say so, and we'll go into it. And hopefully, like when we broke down some of them West Coast concepts, we might have time to do some shit like that this year.
Right. It's. I mean, you should always start with the basics, right? Cover 1, cover 3, cover 2, cover 4. Like you should at least, before you even open your mouth and say something bad about Dak, you should at least know that. You know what I'm saying? And then you can start working on maybe some concepts, right? So flood, mesh, we did a show like that. Dagger. Like this is very basic, elementary, that if you go ask a little league football player, they probably know them concepts. You see what I'm saying? And understand why they're utilized, and then understand the difference between zone blocking versus gap blocking. Like if you just do that, I promise y'all, Cowboys Nation, you will be ahead of like 95% of this football thing.
Facts. Because a lot of people never played football. They just watched it with the family every Sunday. It's a tradition.
At Buffalo Wild Wings screaming and Yeah, they know
touchdown, first down, turnover.
Right.
But yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for sliding in, showing love to the content. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit that share button on the way out. If you're in the liquor store, you ain't subbed up to J Tuck and CFO on YouTube, anywhere else yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. Make sure you go follow my boy. You ain't follow the liquor store yet. Make sure you sub up, man. And hey, listen, man. In the words of my brother West Coast Cowboy, never look down because the star is up. I almost fucked that up. Hey, peace, y'all.
Yeah,